As soon as we got back to school this fall, I sent out a bunch of emails to every ballet company in New York City. I only got responses back from a few of them. However, the New Chamber Ballet responded to me that they did not have an on-site photographer, but used a freelance photographer, Rosalie O'Connor, and gave me her contact information. We corresponded by email for months and had set up this trip for me to go over my spring break. We set up an internship interview. I made a portfolio. I had a resume ready from internship prep class, and we were both very much looking forward to meeting each other and going over my work and details of the internship. My boyfriend Waldif and I have been together for 3 years. However, the last 2.5 of those years have been long distance. His father is in the Army and was stationed in El Paso, Texas shortly after we graduated high school. As of now, we only get to see each other once a year. Usually we make that trip be during winter break, but because I had an internship interview in the city over spring break and didn't want to go by myself, we waited over a year. Victoria and I went to pick him up from the airport Wednesday, March 4th. By the time he arrived, it was after midnight, so the sign I had made saying it had been 417 days apart was then incorrect. The following Tuesday, we left for New York City. My father had picked us up at Kaz and drove us to the train station in Syracuse. Neither Waldif or I had ever been on a train, so we were both excited. A conductor showed us to the proper train car, and when we walked inside, there were no seats available next to each other for 2 people. I was getting disappointed that we wouldn't get to sit together on our first train ride, but we then realized we could move to a more open car further back. Our excitement quickly faded, as it was a 6-hour-long ride with not much scenery to look at, so we watched Criminal Minds on Netflix instead. Once we finally arrived at Penn Station, we made our way out to the street where there was a line for taxis. That was also our first taxi experience. Having watched enough Criminal Minds and being extra cautious in the city, I was memorizing the driver's info listed on the window. That was when we then became part of a high-speed chase. Luckily, there was a traffic jam so we could escape and walked the rest of the way to our hotel. We checked in and found our room on the 4th floor. Given that the name of the hotel was the Skyline, the first thing we did when we entered our room was look out the window. Our view was of the parking garage below. Waldif had been talking up Hard Rock Cafe for months, so we were both excited to go there for dinner. It was raining as we walked there, and we were soaked by the time we arrived. As soon as we got there, they wanted to take a photo of us holding electric guitars in front of a wall of guitars. When we were taken to our table, we realized we were in the company of celebrities. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were seated in a booth at the back of the restaurant. I tried to get a photo, but we were too far away for it to be any good. We had pre-ordered tickets to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum before we left Casanova and planned to go after dinner. Nothing on the website or tickets listed that the hours had been changed. We walked to the museum to realize it had just closed and there was no way we could get a refund. Other people had also tried to get in at the same time, so we were all a little disappointed. But Waldif and I didn't let that get to us. We walked around Times Square, one of my favorite places I've ever been so far, in the rain. We called it an early night and went back to the hotel to rest before my big day the next morning. We had gone to an Irish cafe for breakfast that morning and went back to the hotel because we still had a couple of hours before we needed to leave for the interview. My laptop has been messing up for months, so I was scrambling to burn a digital copy of my portfolio to a disk for Rosalie to keep. I managed to get it finished just in time. We walked outside where Waldif proceeded to try and hail a taxi. While he was doing that, an older woman walking her beagle and smoking a cigarette stopped to talk to me. She began the conversation by saying that everyone recognizes her dog. Seeing that it had 2 different colored eyes, I found this easy to believe. However, she then told me a story of how someone had told her the previous night they had seen her dog Snoopy smoking in the park. It was then that I realized she was a schizoid personality type. I smiled politely and continued to listen to her until our taxi arrived. We gave the address and were on our way to Rosalie's apartment. We got there about 15 minutes early. The doorman went up to her room to inform her we had arrived. He then came back down and called us into the elevator. He gave us directions to find her apartment past the windows at the end of the hall. The rooms were labeled by letters, but they were out of order. G, A, E. Peeking around the corner, there was an open door that read C. She had been waiting for us and remarked that she was surprised we were early. After introductions, she rushed us inside, saying she only had an hour. She collected our jackets and asked us to remove our shoes. I had been wearing black boots. The zipper was hard to undo at times because of the salt from Casanova. I was worried that would be a terrible first impression if I couldn't even get the boot unzipped and waste some of the time, but luckily I got it. She had set up 3 chairs, but Weldon chose to sit on the sofa nearby, out of the way. She first looked at my resume and was impressed I work at a summer camp and minor in psychology. We then looked over my printed portfolio. As a dance photographer, she picked up on technically incorrect aspects of the dancer's body and suggested I remove those photos from my portfolio. I then had some questions to ask her as part of an information interview for my internship prep class. She answered my questions very honestly. She then asked what our plans were for the rest of the day. We had none. She suggested we go the High Line since we had been admiring the view from her window. She gave us a tour, bedroom, bathroom, everything, before we left so she could show us some of her work as well as photographs that had been given to her by other dance photographers. We took a taxi to the High Line and were attempting to take a selfie when a British man asked if we would like him to take the photo. We agreed, and after taking it, he then tried to run away with my camera. Weldon chased him down, accidentally bumping into other tourists while running, but eventually others stepped in and got it back for me. At the end of the High Line, there was a green elevator. Weldon was claustrophobic, but we decided to go on it anyways, thinking the colored glass was cool. Well, we ended up getting stuck in the elevator. Wonderful. Lucky for us, though, there was a lot of construction going on nearby, so some workers could come save us after about 10 minutes, though it felt much longer. At this point, we were starving and looking for somewhere to eat lunch. We had gone to Stardust our senior year of high school. It's a restaurant with waiters and waitresses that are trying to make it on Broadway, so they perform while you eat. We got our food and found a hair in it, so we immediately left and decided Applebee's instead. We were seated at the lower level where the waitstaff was much more casual and fun. They began singing to each other throughout our meal. Ironic, given the restaurant we had just left from. After eating, we again walked around Times Square. Of course, Weldon had left his swim trunks at home, so we had to go look for some. Once we walked back to our hotel for the evening, we got ready and went to the pool. The view was phenomenal. It was a heated indoor saltwater pool located in the penthouse, probably the only floor with a decent view of the said skyline. Shortly after we got there, another family joined us. The lifeguard was extremely inattentive, texting the whole time with small children in the pool. After the pool, we wanted to get drinks from the vending machine. That turned out to be a struggle. To get to the vending machine, you had to take an elevator down to the lobby and then walk to the opposite side of the hotel and go up another elevator to the 4th floor. Our room was on the floor, but of course the hallways didn't connect. The machine wouldn't accept my particular debit card, so I had to go all the way back to the room and get some cash and coins. Once getting back to the vending machine, I chose 2 mango iced teas for us. I had not taken the first one out of the machine before the second one dropped down. That was a mistake, as I then had to fight with the machine, concerned I might break a finger trying to get them unstuck. Finally, I got them out and could then enjoy one after the process of running back and forth between elevators. The next day was all for Weldon. It was our last day and the day we had set aside for the Museum of Natural History, the one place he wanted to go to. We had decided to get breakfast from the deli attached to our hotel. As we were trying to pay, both of our cards got declined. We were out of money with 24 hours left in the city. Shit. We both called our mothers, desperately begging for them to deposit money into our accounts to survive for the last day. Obviously, we were both upset and we went back to the hotel. Weldon was calling his bank and sulking. I forced him to eat some snacks we had in the room and told him I didn't care how far away the museum was. We weren't missing that one too. We then walked for many blocks and got there just in time for the first program on our ticket. We were a few minutes late once we found the place we needed to be, and a staff member was kind enough to break the rules and take us up an elevator to the planetarium to let us into the movie. Watching the movie was the first time all day I saw Weldon smile and could then enjoy it as well. He was finally happy. We made our way around the museum in between the special exhibits he had signed up to see. I wanted him to see our underwater exhibit with a giant whale suspended from the ceiling. A child had folded their map into a paper airplane and threw it upward towards the whale. That's when it hit it and became unhinged. The whale came crashing down from the ceiling onto the floor. Luckily, no one was hurt. One exhibit was full of butterflies. One even landed on my head. He was a little disappointed one didn't land on him, but oh well, we were still having a good day. By the time we got out of the museum, we were both happy and had money in our accounts. We have had many memories with our family in Olive Garden, so we wanted to go to an Italian restaurant for our last date in the city. We decided on Tony's. We got inside and were immediately seated to our surprise given the line of people waiting. However, even more of a shock was the atmosphere of the restaurant. We literally sit a foot away from complete strangers. There are long benches lining the walls with individual tables for two. That was kind of awkward and made it hard to have a conversation since you had to shout to hear each other. We had ordered salad as an appetizer and our waitress offered the house special. We accepted. When she told us about it, I imagined it as an antipasto, but it turned out to be slices of different vegetables with meringue on top. Ew. We returned it for a real salad and ordered chicken parmesan. The meals were made to share. The table next to us had apparently ordered eggplant parmesan. A waiter had delivered it to our table by mistake. It looked like our meal. We were shocked how quickly it had arrived. We thought, they must make meals in advance and wait for tables to order them. Before we could dig in, the older couple was discussing their annoyance that we had gotten our meal first when we had come in later than them. That was when we all realized the mistake. We got our meal a little while after, and it was excellent. We decided to go to Starbucks afterward. We ordered our drinks, and when the woman asked what name to put the order on, Weldon looked at me before answering, Will. He knows I hate that, but it's easier to spell and pronounce than Weldon. The woman saw this and made some joke about how I must be a controlling girlfriend if he can't even give his name to other women. We returned to our room for the night after picking up carrot cake at the deli and this time actually being able to pay for it. We saved it for breakfast the next morning and ate it while watching old cartoons before checking out and heading back to Penn Station. We had wanted New York-style hot dogs and made sure to order some before going into the station. After a brief wait, we boarded our train and made our way back to Cazenovia, New York, after 6 hours.